Our modern economies, they've brought incredible growth, no doubt about it. But they're also starting to show some pretty deep cracks. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical new way of thinking about economics, a formula that's not just about growth, but about real collective flourishing. And it all kicks off with one pretty shocking number.
So what's this number 26 all about? Well, that's the number of billionaires who own as much wealth as the world's poorest 3.8 billion people combined. Let that sink in for a second. That one staggering statistic, it just lays bare the deep imbalance in the system we have right now. And it's really the perfect place for us to start.
And look, that kind of inequality, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's one symptom of a much deeper crisis. Our dominant economic models are fueling what's called ecological overshoot. Basically, we're taking more from the planet than it can possibly regenerate. And at the same time, we're seeing this massive social fragmentation, where the bonds that hold our communities together are just eroding. We are seriously at a crossroads.
But what if the problem isn't just about tweaking the system we have? What if it's about embracing a totally new one? This is where a new paradigm enters the picture. And believe it or not, it can be described with a single, really powerful equation.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? If the formulas we've been using for so long are leading us straight into these crises, could there be a different, maybe more elegant equation for how a healthy economy is supposed to work?
Okay, here it is. E equals G delta squared. I know, it looks simple, right? Almost like something you'd find in a physics textbook. But this little equation, it's proposing a revolutionary way to think about economic value. It's not about capital and labor in the old sense. It's about something a lot more human.
All right, let's break this down. First up, E stands for energy. But we're not talking about oil barrels or kilowatt hours here. This is about the creative vitality of a system. It's a way richer measure than just GDP, which, let's be honest, is a pretty weird metric. It counts things like pollution and prisons as economic positives, but it assigns zero value to clean air or a trusted community. This energy is about a system's actual ability to thrive.
Next up is G for grace. And this is the secret ingredient that traditional economics just completely misses, probably because you can't really track it on a spreadsheet. It's the trust, the goodwill, the mutual care that holds a society together. The source material calls it a relational gravity, that invisible force that pulls us into collaboration instead of just constant competition.
And finally, we have delta, which stands for difference. This is the power of diversity in all its forms. Different skills, different cultures, different ideas, different ecosystems. But here's the kicker. Notice it's not just delta, it's delta squared. That's the really crucial part. It's telling us that when you bring diverse elements together in the right way, their value doesn't just add up, it multiplies. It's exponential.
So this brings us to the core dynamic of the whole equation. Because grace and difference, they aren't just separate ingredients you can toss into a bowl. They have to interact in a very specific way to unlock that real economic energy. You see, one without the other, it just doesn't work.
So let's just play this out for a second. Imagine a community with tons of grace. Everyone trusts each other, it's very close-knit, but there's no difference. What do you get? Well, you get harmony, but you also get stagnation, a place that resists new ideas. Now flip it. Imagine a big city with tons of difference, brilliant, creative people from all over, but zero grace. What happens? You get conflict, fragmentation, just a bunch of silos where nobody trusts each other enough to actually collaborate. You have to have both. And this is where you see the real magic of the formula. Grace, that foundation of trust and goodwill, it becomes the key that unlocks the exponential power of difference. It's the catalyst that transforms all those diverse perspectives from a source of friction into a source of absolutely explosive creativity and problem solving.
Okay, I know you might be thinking, this equation is elegant, it's a neat idea, but does it actually exist anywhere outside of a thought experiment? And the answer is absolutely. Once you start to recognize the pattern, you see these regenerative forces at work all around us. We just need to know where to look.
So let's take mutual aid, for example. During the COVID-19 crisis, we saw communities just spontaneously self-organize, right? People delivering groceries, checking in on neighbors. You also see it in these huge digital commons like Wikipedia, where thousands of diverse experts contribute their knowledge for free. At its core, it's just people helping people, all based on trust and a shared sense of need.
And the impact? It's pretty staggering. Studies show that these networks can mobilize resources 4 to 6 weeks faster than formal institutions can in a crisis. They're way more sensitive because they're using local knowledge. And that last bar, increased connection, that's so important. A full 68% of participants say they feel a stronger sense of community. That is the energy the equation is talking about: resilience, speed, and real social cohesion.
Another amazing example is the cooperative model. And the perfect case study here is the Mondragon Corporation in Spain. It's this massive federation of over 90 different businesses, all owned and run by their workers. Just look at their motto, humanity at work. I mean, that perfectly captures the spirit of an economy built on grace and shared purpose.
And what's so powerful here is how beautifully this model scales. It starts with just one co-op, a single business owned by its members. But then they start to link up into federations, sharing what they've learned and their resources. That builds into entire solidarity economies. We're talking everything from credit unions to land trusts, creating this resilient network that just amplifies the impact of every single part.
Now, of course, a huge transition like this needs some fuel in the tank. And that's where a new kind of finance is starting to bubble up: regenerative finance, or refi for short. The whole idea is to create financial systems that are specifically designed to fund projects that heal our planet and strengthen our communities, finally aligning the pursuit of profit with the health of the whole system.
So, these examples are incredible, right? From a neighborhood mutual aid group to a global cooperative network. But they're still often just pockets of a new economy trying to survive within the old one. So the final and most ambitious question is this: how do we connect them all? How do we design an entire operating system for society based on these principles?
The source material has a name for this: Flourish OS. And don't think of it like software on your computer. It's more like a blueprint for society itself. So its economic infrastructure is built on commons and co-ops. Its digital tools are designed for collaboration, not extraction. The legal system itself would recognize the rights of nature. And, this is key, the ecological layer embeds our economy within the natural world, not standing outside of it.
And this isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. Just look at the legal revolution that's underway. New Zealand actually granted legal personhood to the Wanganui River, giving that entire ecosystem a voice in the courts. Ecuador and Bolivia have embedded these same rights into their actual constitutions. This is a profound shift. It's an expression of grace, not just between people, but between all of humanity and the more than human world.
So, when you boil it all down, this whole equation, E equals G delta squared, it brings us back to the most fundamental question of all. It asks us to completely reimagine what an economy is even for. It proposes that the ultimate goal isn't just endless, abstract growth on a chart. It's the tangible, lived experience of collective flourishing. What kind of world could we actually build if we made that our true north?